no, you know what? You don't need a hot dog. Today you're going to have a salad with some lean protein. We're not having hot dogs today. It's not the 4th of July. What's up, guys? This is Emmy Brooklyn Baby. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we start the video, just go ahead and like the video and also subscribe if you are not subscribed already, because as I have said time and time again, I'm trying to grow this and I'm relying on each and every one of you to make my dreams come true, so just go ahead and do it. I also just want to quickly tell all of you guys, in case you don't know, that I have launched channel memberships. So for the low price of $2.99 per month, you will get 2 members-only videos every single month. What a gift. Am I right? So go ahead and check out the membership if you are interested. I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so today we're doing a brand new edition of what I call the Anti-Diet Dietitian Roundup. These are some of the most ridiculous videos that I have seen from our favorite anti-diet dietitians and some new anti-diet dietitians that you may not have heard of before. So let's go. First off, we have our old friend Bonnie, aka Diet Culture Rebel. I made a whole video about her that you can go see on my channel. And she is eating Nutella straight out of the jar. And in the corner here, you can see there is footage from the Artemis 2 cabin. So I guess they have a jar of Nutella floating around up there. And Bonnie says, "Funny how no one's sending only rice cakes and protein to space. It's almost like you need food that actually sustains you. Cheers to Nutella." Okay, so there's a lot that I find irritating about this reel. I don't think we have the same definition of the word sustain. Because for me, if I were to just take a big old spoonful of Nutella to the gullet, I don't think that would sustain me at all. Because Nutella, if I'm not mistaken, is made up of mostly sugar and palm oil. Actually, let me cue up the nutrition information. Okay, so Nutella is made up of over 70% sugar and palm oil. The largest ingredient is sugar, with more than 56% of it being sugar. Here is a visual representation of what's inside the jar of Nutella. Palm oil, skim milk powder, cocoa, hazelnuts, and sugar. So I don't really know what she means by food that actually sustains you, because rice cakes, sure, like rice cakes are mostly air. That's not going to sustain you. But protein, I would argue protein is what would sustain you the most. So I don't really know what she means by that. Another thing that really bothers me about this is the fact that she's eating straight Nutella out of the jar with a spoon and like giving this cheeky little grin like, "I'm such a rebel. I'm a rebel for diet culture." I also just hate her name. She's one person that like I started off being kind of lukewarm towards her, and week after week, I just keep getting more and more irritated by like the smugness, you know? And she's quickly becoming my BEC, my bitch eating crackers. Just like everything she does irritates me. But yeah, that's the main thing that I don't understand about this reel is like, how is Nutella going to sustain you more than protein? Like a high protein meal is what would actually sustain you. Nutella, like nobody needs that. And also, how many people do you think can open up a jar of Nutella this size and just eat spoonfuls out of it with no abandon? Like, I just don't think that's a very realistic thing to do. And I find it really gross that a dietitian would encourage you to do so. Moving on. Okay, so at first glance, this doesn't even seem like a reel from a dietitian, but this is Sid the dietitian, and I'm going to show you her profile. She doesn't have a shit ton of followers, but I've definitely seen her pop up on my feed. So this reel, she is in a very cute bikini. I want to know where she got this bikini. But she's sitting on the beach and she's eating a chocolate frosted donut with fruity pebbles on it. Not my preferred combination, but the caption says, "Seed oils are so bad. Bro, I'm literally living a fulfilling life that prioritizes pleasure and well-being." So basically, she's acting like somebody is about to tell her about seed oils, and she's saying, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about the seed oils. I am living a life that prioritizes pleasure and well-being. So I don't give a fuck about your seed oil conspiracy theory, is basically what she's saying. Now, I personally am not gonna fearmonger about seed oils. I don't believe they're bad. I do believe that seed oils like canola oil, for example, at fast food restaurants, it is bad in that it keeps getting reheated and it is not stable when you reheat it, to my knowledge. By the way, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so let's just make sure that's clear. But yeah, so when you reheat canola oil, I believe it is not good for you and it's not stable at reheated temperatures. However, I cook with canola oil. I don't think there's anything wrong with seed oils in moderation or canola oil as a neutral cooking oil. It just should not be reheated. And that's my understanding of it. But feel free to correct me if you have other information. And I also know that seed oils are a very hot topic of debate in the nutrition space as of late. So she's kind of like riding that trend and saying like, I don't give a fuck about your seed oil conspiracies. I don't think a dietitian should be prioritizing pleasure above, healthy eating. Like I think a dietitian should probably be encouraging people to prioritize healthy eating. And that doesn't mean that you can't include pleasure in the eating experience or like derive any pleasure from your food. I believe in eating satisfying, delicious food as well. But if I were going to the beach all day, I would not bring a donut. I just wouldn't. I have no desire to eat a chocolate frosted donut on the beach. I would much rather eat a sandwich with turkey and avocado and lettuce and tomato and protein, fats, and carbs together so that I would feel satisfied and I wouldn't be ravenous on the beach. But that's just me. I also want to show you Sid the dietitian's profile, which I think I queued up here. So you can see she is definitely within a healthy body weight range, but she also posts a lot of, I guess you could call them thirst traps, and no hate to the thirst traps. I actually love a good thirst trap. I love posting a good thirst trap. I love commenting on my friends' thirst traps. I love the female form and I love bikinis and I love to wear bikinis and I love when other people wear bikinis. However, it is a little bit annoying to see somebody wearing a bikini who has like a nice body telling people, you should just eat donuts and ice cream and prioritize your pleasure because that's what actual health is. Like, okay, fine. I guess that works for you, but clearly when the obesity rate is as high as it is, not everybody can behave that way. This is another one that I noticed. This one says how it feels going into 2026 with no intention of cutting carbs or losing weight. And it's another donut. I guess she loves donuts, but like, look at her. I swear to God, I'm not body shaming. Like, girl looks great. She looks great. But it's kind of like when Bella Hadid poses with a slice of pizza and it's like hanging out of her mouth. Like, I love pizza, but like, that she's not really eating that. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that Sydney isn't eating this stuff, but it's like, it just feels like you're flexing. And I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm projecting, but let me know if you also feel this way. Like when hot girls post about all the gross shit that they eat, I don't know. It just feels like braggadocious and it feels like they would not be posting that if they didn't look as good as they do. I'll just leave it at that. On to the next one. Okay, so this one says daily carb recs based on exercise intensity. So I'm getting a feeling we're about to see a visual representation. Okay, so 120 to 130 grams of carbs for essential brain function. So she is going to put half a loaf of bread on this plate. Now, for sedentary or low intensity minimal training, 220 to 365 grams of carbs. So a loaf of bread. Okay. Now for moderate training, 440 to 510 grams. So 2 loaves of bread. Oh, plus all of this other bread. And it says, let's end the war on carbs. Okay, so I find this reel to be a little bit misleading. So that 130 grams of carbs per day, I have heard that number before, and that is for essential brain function. However, that doesn't mean you need to eat half a loaf of bread because you get carbs from other sources in your day, like fruits, vegetables, your bowl of oatmeal in the morning. You know, you get carbs from most of the things that you eat. And my worry would be that somebody who's not very educated about the various macronutrients would see this video and would think, oh, so I can just eat a shit ton of bread because I work out. So if I work out, that means I need 2 loaves of bread. I get what she's trying to do with the visual representation, but I really don't think, I honestly think this would end up confusing people more than educate them. And I don't really like these visual representations in general because I do think they're overly simplistic. Somebody could see this and really not understand that they're already getting the necessary amount of carbs. Like somebody could have cut out bread and think, oh, well, maybe I should go back to eating tons of bread because apparently my brain needs this many carbs. But like they're already getting the carbs they need, you know? So, I just wanted to show something. This is like a type of video that I see quite often is dietitians will use visual representations to show how many grams of each macronutrient you need. But I personally don't find them helpful because I think many people see them more literally than what they are intended to be. On to the next one. Okay, this is a reel from Balanced Nutrition. It says, I wish more women who continue to go for the next new diet trend knew that dieting causes weight cycling and worse health outcomes. Here we go again. First of all, citation needed. I'm going to need you to show me the study or studies, plural, that show that weight cycling leads to worse health outcomes than being overweight or obese. I'm going to need the statistics on that little factoid. I mean, I'll give you the answer. They don't exist because weight cycling has not been shown to lead to worse health outcomes than being overweight or obese. This is like really dangerous because you might think that I'm being like too precious about it, but I personally know people who have not reduced their caloric intake because they are afraid of weight cycling. And I'm not making this up. There are people that follow anti-diet dietitians like this or fat acceptance creators that have heard so much propaganda about the weight cycling thing that they refuse to change their diet at all because they think that if they weight cycle at all, that's going to lead to their death. So we need to shut the fuck up about the weight cycling thing until there's like concrete data that you can share that shows me that it leads to more disease than being obese. And by the way, I think I pulled up Balanced Nutrition's profile. So this is Balanced Nutrition. She has a lot of problematic content. She doesn't have a huge following, but let me know if I should do a deep dive on her if you've heard of her before, because I did notice a few videos that I did not agree with. And I think I pulled another one up. Yes. So this one says, if you can't stop eating peanut butter out of the jar like this, here's what may be going on. By the way, this is Teddy peanut butter. This is my favorite peanut butter. I eat it every other day. Her caption says, have you ever grabbed a jar of peanut butter and kept spooning out another bite and another bite until you're like, holy crap, I just ate half the container? Yeah, I do. Like I said, every other day. If you have, you're not alone. I've been there, and so have my clients. While I think that some people just love some peanut butter, it's more common for this to be a sign of something, and that is underfueling. You're most likely not giving your body enough fuel or nutrition, so it results in your spooning out endless amounts of peanut butter till you're almost sick to ensure you're getting enough calories for your body. Peanut butter is nutrient dense and calorie dense, so that only makes sense, especially for women who need fat for many reasons. The solution that's simple yet hard for most women living in this diet era. Eating more at different points of the day will help your body get all that it needs. So I just don't agree with this sentiment at all. I think peanut butter is one of those things that's just really easy to overeat because it is extremely calorie dense, but you don't fill up right away from it because you're not eating high volume. So it's calorically dense for a small amount. A serving of peanut butter is about 2 tablespoons and it's about 200 calories. So I don't think if you're one of the people that can't stop when they start eating peanut butter, or like you start spooning out the peanut butter and all of a sudden you ate half the jar, I definitely don't think that that means that you're under eating or under fueling at other parts of your day. It could just be that you really like the taste of peanut butter. It's very easy to get carried away with peanut butter, and I think it's straight up weird that she's saying if you eat too much peanut butter, that means that you're starving or whatever. Like that literally makes zero sense. Furthermore, if you, dear viewer, find yourself struggling with peanut butter, I wouldn't advise to cut it out completely, but you could have the actual peanut butter sometimes, and then other times, like, do what I do. So every other day I have some peanut butter, and I literally mean every other day, by the way. I really love it. But then every other day I will do PB2 or PB Fit actually. And I will mix PB Fit. Instead of water, I will do sugar-free syrup or sugar-free honey substitute. And I get both of those from a brand called Wholesome Yum, and they really taste almost like the real thing. So I will mix one of those with the PB Fit, and it turns into like this peanut buttery caramel texture. You gotta try. Try it and report back. Moving on. Okay, this is the last one I have for you guys. So this dietitian is No More Guilt, and I really found her handle to be funny because it's not even like no more food guilt, it's just no more guilt. But I personally believe that sometimes a little bit of guilt, not such a bad thing. This says, POV, you start thinking about how everyone gets bent out of shape over intuitive eating because they can't see past eating whatever you want without abandon, or dieting as the only options when it's neither of those things. So, time and time again, these dietitians will come online and they'll say, people misunderstand intuitive eating. Intuitive eating isn't about eating whatever you want whenever you want. That's so not it. People don't get it. And if they understood the principles, then they wouldn't think that it's eating whatever you want whenever you want. I want to tell you guys, as somebody who knows quite a bit about intuitive eating, has practiced intuitive eating in the past, and has made herself very familiar with the principles, eating whatever you want is actually a part of the process. It's principle number 3, which is right here: make peace with food. Call a truce. Stop the food fight. Give yourself unconditional permission to eat. If you tell yourself that you can't or shouldn't have a particular food, it can lead to intense feelings of deprivation that build into uncontrollable cravings and often hinging. When you finally give in to your forbidden food, eating will be experienced with such intensity that it usually results in the Last Supper, overeating, and overwhelming guilt. So, this is principle number 3. And when you learn about intuitive eating, they tell you to practice the principles in order. So, when you get to principle number 3, that is when you are advised to buy all the off-limits food, like all the cookies, all the brownies, all the chips, all the pretzels, all the cereals, like all the things that you would have deemed to be off-limits when you were dieting. They tell you, go ahead and buy it and give yourself unconditional permission to eat all of those foods. Now, the theory and like the whole idea that intuitive eating is based on is that if you allow yourself unconditional permission to eat all of the foods, the ones you deemed good, the ones you deemed bad, then eventually they will all neutralize and you won't feel powerless around certain foods anymore. So theoretically, this should work, right? But if somebody is starting off already in the overweight or obese category, and they get to this principle, make peace with food, and they buy all the cookies, brownies, cakes, chips, Cheez-Its, Fritos, Doritos, Tostitos, all the Eatos, that may very well lead to them gaining a lot of weight. And they also tell you when you're learning about intuitive eating that you might lose weight, you might gain weight, you might stay the same weight, and you're not supposed to observe your weight or take weight into account because this is to heal your relationship with food. I am telling you guys, quite often people gain weight during principle number 3. People gain weight when they're making peace with food because the guardrails are off. They're eating family-sized bags of chips and pints of ice cream and making peace with that. So I will tell you from my experience, when I was practicing principle number 3, I did gain weight. I think when I was practicing intuitive eating, I probably gained about 20 pounds. And I was still within the healthy range. So nobody really took issue with it, and I didn't really see it as a problem. But if somebody's starting off already overweight, they can't really afford to gain another 20 pounds. So in that person's case, I think this advice would be really freaking dangerous. And I find it a little bit disingenuous. Or you know what? I find it a lot bit disingenuous when they say it's not about eating whatever you want. No, it is, actually. And by the time you get to principle 10, which is gentle nutrition, which I'll show you right here. Gentle nutrition, that enables you to make food choices that honor your well-being, taste buds, and culture while attuning to how your body feels. So principle number 10 is when you can really start to, observe food from the perspective of what are the macronutrients, what are the micronutrients, and what is going to actually help me achieve optimal health while still enjoying my food. So all of these principles that come before are opportunities for you to gain weight. And I'm not saying this to be fear-mongering. I'm not saying this to scare you if you're into intuitive eating or if you want to try it, if you feel like you're in the right headspace to do it. But don't believe them when they say it's not about eating whatever you want whenever you want, because it really is. Okay? That's what the whole framework is built on, and that's what they tell you to do. I was going to Trader Joe's and I was buying so much food when I was just starting out intuitive eating because I was like, I have unconditional permission to eat. I get to eat all these fun foods. And I'm not going to lie, it was a blast. Like, it was one of the most fun times of my life, but it's not safe for everybody to do that. Okay, so this is not a dietitian. This is Victoria Garrick, who is an influencer, but she is all about mindful eating and intuitive eating. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she is an intuitive eating certified counselor. By the way, I'm still looking into getting my intuitive eating counselor certification, and I will keep you all abreast. But Victoria has a very big following, and she's always talking about intuitive eating. So let's see what she has to say.
If you're an intuitive eater, that means you're having junk food or foods that aren't good for you all the time. The reason they think that is because intuitive eating at the highest level is eating what your body wants and what your body craves. And to the average person, they think, well, my body's craving Taco Bell. My body wants cookies, ice cream. It's all those stereotypical junk food.
Because the average person does love Taco Bell and cookies and ice cream. And I feel like I know exactly what she's going to say because she has this big bowl of salad in front of her. It's going to be something to the effect of, I crave salads too. Good for you, Victoria. Guess what? Some of us weren't raised on salads. Some of us have never craved a vegetable and will never crave a vegetable.
So they think if I was an intuitive eater, I would just eat that all the time. But that's not true. The reason it's not true is because when you're an intuitive eater, like me, you allow yourself to have whatever you want, whenever you want it, and then that brings down the allure and the attraction of these forbidden foods that the average person might not be allowing themselves to have. For example, if I know I could have cookies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day this week, and I did that, don't you think that by Wednesday, I'd wake up and be like, ugh, the last thing I want today is a cookie. I've literally had cookies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Honestly, no. And I touched on this in another video, but there are so many different kinds of cookies in the world. So, like, I don't think that eating cookies for, I mean, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, maybe you'd probably feel so shitty by the end of it that you'd be like, give me anything else. But like, let's say for a whole day, you were mainly just eating cookies. You would barely even scratch the surface on how many cookies exist. There's so many different flavors, textures. I love Oreos, but I also love fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, and they're nothing alike. So I don't think if I allowed myself unconditional permission to eat Oreos, that then if somebody offered me a big chonky chocolate chip cookie, that I would be able to resist it just because I had been eating Oreos all week. Does that make sense? Let me know if that made sense.
You would eventually crave something else. And then the cookie is like almost less appealing because you're like, well, I can have cookies whenever I want. So today for lunch, even though I could have ordered fast food or had a cake to myself if I wanted it, I'm not craving it because I know I could have cake whenever I want. And a salad actually feels like it's going to hit the spot. So that is intuitive eating. Most people think that if you're
Yeah, I stand by what I said. Some people are never going to crave the salad. They're never going to be like, ooh, I want something crunchy and fresh. So what do you suggest those people do? Just never eat salad again if they never crave it? And that's where there's this disparity between people who are successful intuitive eaters and not successful, because some people have been raised on ultra-processed food, really do not have a taste for fresh fruits and vegetables and lean meats and complex carbs and all the healthy foods, because there are healthy and unhealthy foods. So it's not gonna happen for them. They're not gonna wake up one day and say, I want a big bowl of kale. That's what I want. Like, that's not going to happen. And I find it really condescending when people like this insist that, oh, no, you'll eventually just crave the things that are good for you. That's not true. And so if that's not going to work for some people, why don't you just let them implement as Jillian Michaels would say, the mechanistic eating. Like at this time, I am going to have a salad and I'm going to put a lot of nutritious things in it. And yeah, I could have like maybe something else on the side that I enjoy. And that's where I think intuitive eating gets it right. Like that you don't need to completely eliminate foods, but I don't think that means that you won't need to push yourself to eat some healthy food. There's nothing wrong with saying no to yourself sometimes, saying, no, you know what? You don't need a hot dog. Today you're going to have a salad with some lean protein. We're not having hot dogs today. It's not the 4th of July. Do you see any fireworks? I don't. I'm not saying that it doesn't work for anybody. I did have this experience as well, but I also like vegetables. I like fruits. I was raised with a really diverse diet. My mom encouraged me to try many different types of foods. So even though those were not the foods that I would eat a lot of when I was overweight, I still like them. So I think for me, it's easy to wake up and think, ooh, I'm craving a crunchy, fresh salad today. But I know for a fact that's not everybody. In fact, I think most people probably would not feel that way. That's it for today, you guys. I know it was kind of a quickie, but I'm going to be doing more of these anti-diet dietitian roundups and some more deep dives. So keep leaving your requests in the comments because I like to plan for videos that I know that you guys are going to get a lot out of. So keep making requests. And if you made it this far, leave a hazelnut emoji or really any nut-related emoji because this jar of Nutella, man, and the way that she is spooning it directly into her mouth, it really got me today. Like, I'm going to need to take a walk after this. Okay, guys, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.